You're listening to episode 135, update episode with Svava Brooks. Welcome to the Grass Gets Greener podcast, the show for survivors by survivors. I'm your host, Melissa Wilson, a bullying survivor and anti-bullying advocate. And each week you'll hear from a survivor who has overcome a traumatic experience to go on to not only survive, but thrive, so that you can too, starting now. Hey there, welcome. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode. I'm so grateful to have you here. And today is an update episode. We're going to be rejoined by Svava Brooks from episode 42, which was 3 years ago now, which is crazy. And if you want, you can listen to Svava's first episode at thegrassgetsgreener.com/Svava Brooks. Before we get into this one, I do just want to mention that today's episode is sponsored by Navni. Navni is the top-ranked anonymous writing website in the world. Navni provides free wellness resources and low-cost online therapy services to help people cope with various levels of emotional distress. Write anonymously, feel better at novni.com. So if you haven't listened to Svava's first episode yet, or don't remember it, no worries. I'll give you a quick summary now. So Svava joined me to share her story of how she has overcome childhood abuse to become not only a survivor, but a thriver, and how she is helping others to do the same. Svava was emotionally, physically, and sexually abused by her stepfather while growing up. She also witnessed domestic violence in the household. Svava tried to be perfect and overachieve. She got involved in drinking and smoking and became promiscuous. She had a hard time feeling any emotions. She also experienced shame and self-hatred, and she had attachment issues and became a people pleaser. It was getting involved in a support group that started Svava down her path of healing. She read a lot of books to educate herself, and she began meditation and energy healing practices. She was also able to forgive herself and those who had hurt her, and she focused on taking care of herself inside and out. So now that you're caught up a little bit on what we talked about in Svava's first episode, let me share a little bit about what we'll be talking about in this episode. Svava's going to talk about what she's been up to since she was first on, including a couple of new books that she has, which serve as daily guides to help survivors thrive after trauma, and also how she's been using Periscope to support survivors. And she's going to share with us her future plans, including a retreat that she's holding next year in Texas, and her experience with fear recently, and how she dealt with it. So I hope you're excited to get caught up with Svava today, and without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get into this one, and I will bring Svava on. Svava, welcome back to the podcast, and thank you for joining me here today to continue sharing your journey with us.
Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate all the work that you're doing.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, and I'm happy to have you back on here to share about what you're doing as well. And so you and I got to catch up with each other not too long ago, and you were telling me about everything you have going on since you were first on, which is 3 years ago now, which when I went to look back at when that first episode was, I mean, I couldn't believe that it had been that long already. I mean, does it seem like it to you?
No, it's like it was yesterday, right?
That's crazy. But anyway, I know you definitely have some updates for us since you were on back then. So I'm looking forward to having you share all of that with us today. And what I like to do with these update episodes, Svava, is have you start us out by sharing with us what it is that you do.
Okay. What is it I do? I am abuse survivor coach and a certified tension and trauma release practitioner. So that's the sort of my title, but what does that mean? So I help adult survivors of child abuse, neglect, and trauma to heal and restore. And what do I mean by that? I have found that so many people know a lot about trauma and have struggled quite a bit maybe with their healing journey. And so I find that people, by the time they find me, I kind of help them to lay down the puzzle and find the missing pieces so it all connects. And often the missing piece for a lot of people is how to connect with themselves, their bodies, and really understand how to, feel whole again. And for some of us, that's a foreign concept because, the abuse happened so long ago and went on for so long that we don't even know what that looks like or feels like mostly. So I help people really recognize they can put their story down and start to live wholeheartedly again or for the first time.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know you're doing such great work in the trauma recovery field, so that's really great. Last time that you were on, I know you were also an instructor and facilitator for Darkness to Light. You still doing that as well?
Exactly. Like most of us, right? I wear a few different hats. So I am an instructor and facilitator for Darkness to Light, which is a nonprofit in South Carolina. And I have been an independent instructor for them for almost 15 years. And just given the most recent news, right, on child sexual abuse and the prevalence, that is still a very important task and actually growing, actually starting to do more and more trainings around that as well, where I educate adults on how to prevent and recognize and respond to child sexual abuse.
Very nice. Yeah, great. And I know you were also a Reiki practitioner as well. I think you were telling me when we were talking that you were going for master Reiki training. Is that correct?
Yes, exactly. Actually, I'm completing that this year. Been going through that, the different levels. And so in November of this year, I will complete my Reiki master certification. And it's just interesting to have you ask me these questions and reflect on where I was when I talked to you last time. But actually Reiki energy work is definitely one of the tools that I use a lot with my clients. So I'm really, really excited to be finishing that journey for myself. And, practicing Reiki for myself was also an important part of my healing journey.
Very cool. So, so what else has been new for you, Svava, since you were first on?
Well, actually, I was just reflecting on that, that I don't think I had published my books when we spoke last. So,
right, yeah.
So I've published 2 books and kind of one after another. And my first book was Journey to the Heart, a 365-day guide to thriving after trauma. And basically this book, as the name, the name of it is that it was written as a daily guide for survivors of abuse. So each day features what I call a little bit of truth to kind of inspire you to think about certain aspect of your healing journey. And basically, this book was the tool that I was looking for when I recognized that I was ready to make that shift from surviving to thriving. But I couldn't find, like, what does that look like? What's my daily intention? What do I focus on? Mm-hmm. I had spent a lot of time just in survival mode, but I was ready for the next level. And I was like, where is it? So that's why I wrote it, because I recognized it was by being very intentional about my self-care, about being mindful of my thoughts, and, meditating and using my Reiki, that I started to make this huge progress into actually living a very heart-centered, mindful, wholehearted life, not just constantly being driven or run by my triggers or my bad feelings anymore. So,
mm-hmm. so this has just the different tools that have helped you and that people can use each day for the whole year.
Exactly. So every day I'll give you something to think about that will help you consider, to focus on for the day. And it will range from taking care of your body to being mindful to your healing to journaling, go for a walk. So that's why I call them little truth nuggets. And so I got really great feedback and response from that book, and made it to a bestseller status on Amazon. That was, very
congratulations.
Thank you. And then the following year, the feedback from the first book was, I actually added 2 questions to every day. Instead of it just being like a paragraph for you to think about, I actually wanted to encourage my readers to dig deeper. So my second book I called Releasing Your Authentic Self, a daily guide to help abuse and trauma survivors rediscover themselves, because child abuse teaches us to hide, right? It really disconnects us from the truth of who we are. So through this book, I have the similar daily truth, so to speak, an invitation to take a look at where are you at on your healing journey? What is your focus and intention for the day? And then basically the questions, they're not yes or no questions, but I ask you to go a little deeper. So and really to help you release what I say, that incredible part of yourself, your most authentic self, which often is kind of hidden for a long time. And in order to support my readers, I also created a closed Facebook group where they get to share their daily journals. And it's been really, really powerful to watch people kind of grow and thrive in that space.
Mm-hmm. No, that's great. Those sound like really helpful resources for survivors.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah.
And then, so you said those are on Amazon?
Yeah, my books are available on Amazon or Kindle. So if they just go to Amazon and look up my name, they will find, my books listed there. So.
All right. Yeah, I'll be sure to have those linked up in the show notes for anyone who is interested in checking them out.
Great. Thank you. I appreciate that. And then, if to add one more layer to what I'm doing this year, basically, I consider myself, an advocate for survivors, and being a voice for survivors, also recognizing that so many survivors are looking for that role model of someone that's thriving and speaking, very openly about the past, but also from, the place of love and light. So what I've been doing this whole year is that I'm on Periscope, which is, the live feed for Twitter, for those that don't know. And so 5 times a week, I'm on Periscope, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and I will go through the page of the day in my book, and my readers will be there to watch, and they will share their journal entries. And so we usually have a really profound conversation about healing, and people can relate to what's being shared. And we have people from all over the world that tap in, Australia, Saudi Arabia, India, UK, Iceland, of course, the US. And it's kind of building this community. We call ourselves the tribe now, or they do. And so that's another layer of support that I've brought to the readers, both of my blog and my book. So,
Oh, that's great. So you're there for them 5 days a week. That's awesome. How long are the videos for?
Well, they're usually for about an hour, and if people can't watch live, they can always come and watch the replay. And so I try to be there 5 times a week, but right now I'm teaching a mindfulness class. So on the days that, I can't be in 2 places. So, and when, of course, I'll take, good self-care, I'll take a break here and there, but I try to be there to support, but like I said, the schedule that I try to stick with is 5 times per week. So, and it's been great for me too, just to see people from all over the world. It doesn't matter, where we live on this planet. Hurt is hurt and love is love. And we're all seeking community and voice, a place where we can really, really be heard and to be seen. And it's been beautiful to watch the people grow as they've shared their journey with me.
I can imagine. Yeah, that's great. And I know you mentioned Iceland as one of the countries where people are tuning in from. I know that's where you're from.
Yes.
You had a retreat there recently, didn't you?
Well, I've been going back twice a year, and because I'm a certified TRE practitioner, tension and trauma release, and there wasn't anybody in Iceland providing that. So I actually, since I'm just a practitioner, I'm not a trainer yet, I actually partnered up with a trainer from Sweden in spring so we're now, giving people opportunity both to learn TRE for themselves and to become practitioners. But I'm actually going back in a few weeks, and I'm going to be doing 4 classes on TRE for people that are local. That it's kind of like yoga. Once you learn it, it's always interesting to kind of do those things in groups. And then I also have a workshop for people that are brand new and wanting to learn for the first time what TRE is about. And it's a very, very powerful self-help tool that helps your body use its own wisdom to let go of a lot of the tension we collect just in our daily life, but also helps to go really deep to help the body let go of really, really deep, deep trauma. So it's really powerful.
That's great. Yeah. And I think you were talking about you were starting up a YouTube channel as well. Is that correct?
Well, that's been on kind of my future goal. I'm going to finish what I'm doing on Periscope. I set myself a goal to do that for a whole year. But I want to start on YouTube, starting next year. So January, I'm going to shift some of my focus from Periscope over to YouTube. So
okay, so more of a future plan.
Yes.
So yeah, any other future plans that you have in the works?
Yes, I just scheduled my very first retreat. Actually, my readers, my private clients have been asking for one, so I thought it was time to do that. So that's going to be in April next year in Texas. I have a huge advocate and supporter of my work there, and she has lots of great connections and found us a beautiful spot. So this is a secret, so they don't even know it yet. My tribe doesn't know it yet, but I'm going to be announcing it here pretty soon. So nice. Doing more retreats is definitely what's coming for me. I love to work with groups. I love to work face to face with people. So, and I would love to do a retreat in Iceland, since I have lots of people in Europe, in the UK. So Iceland would be kind of in the middle between the US and Europe. So I would love to schedule another retreat for later in 2019 in Iceland.
Oh, that sounds exciting. What sorts of things will you be doing at the retreat?
Well, basically, I think a lot along the same thing that we do talk about on the Periscope or in our closed Facebook group. We talk a lot about self-care. We talk a lot about understanding ourselves, awareness about why we do things the way we do them, why we have these really critical thoughts about ourselves, why we resist coming into our bodies. So I will be taking people through meditation, some mindfulness exercises. I will probably be role playing a little bit of inner child work because it's sometimes hard for people to understand it until they see it happen. And I think we're going to be doing some playing. We're just going to have fun and just let the love that has been built in our community flow and have a good time.
That sounds great. Yeah, I mean, I can see something like that just being very impactful.
Yes.
Just, being able to work on those things, and especially in, an in-person environment with others, can be really helpful. And I've been to a couple of events myself where, we're just doing some deep work, and it's so amazing like how much progress you can make in a short amount of time. Just being in that environment. Yeah,
exactly. And it's just magical what happens when people come together with the same intention. And I know for a lot of these people, we've been working together for almost a year, and a lot of them have never met face to face. I know a lot of them will talk outside the groups, and on my travel, I've met a few of them face to face. But what's also starting to show up in our group and is really validating what I've been saying all along. It's like when one of us heals, we all heal. So when one of us in the group makes a breakthrough, because of the group, they're having a big breakthrough. They finally feel like they have a safe place to be seen and to be authentic about their hurt. And they're afraid of love. They're afraid of being vulnerable to open up to the very thing that they've been searching for, or not even believe that they belong, that they're worthy of belonging to our tribe. And to start practicing the self-care. And a lot of those old stories have been tested in this group. And so it's just been mind blowing to see how the whole group has, has gone through some amazing healing and changes just because one of us is doing it. It impacts all of us. And few of them have actually said it. It's like, I don't think you can be here without feeling the change or shift. So I can't wait for them to be together in the same space, face to face.
Yeah, that's great. It's going to be so powerful for everyone to meet in person.
Yes.
Yeah. That's awesome. So yeah, and anything else that you want to mention that we haven't covered yet? Either as far as future plans or anything else you've been doing?
Well, I think it's just been interesting, this healing journey. Like, I think when we talked last, I was just starting to do these online video summits that I did kind of back to back. And then my books came out, and it was just like, I recognized it was time to push past my own fears about playing small and hiding, because I knew in my heart of hearts, I had this huge call to help survivors. Not that I have all of the pieces figured out or I'm not perfect myself, but I am, using all the tools that I'm teaching people and the things that give me hope every day. I'm just slowly finding a way to reach more people, because the world needs it. And I think now more than ever. So if there's a person out there that I can do a shout out to, if you are struggling on your healing journey, or you think it's too late to get started, or you're not sure where to go, it's never too late. I think we're kind of going through the time of like a mass transformation for so many people. And I almost think that's why we're feeling so much pain right now. It's like there's a lot of things up in an upheaval. I think we're being really called, and unfortunately humans, we don't get off the pot, so to speak, until it really starts to hurt. So we're being really pushed to our breaking point, because we are being asked to break open, to bring more light and compassion and connection to ourselves and to our fellow human beings. So I want to say, no matter where you are at, you're exactly where you need to be. And this is exactly today could be the just exactly the right time or the right day for you to start your healing journey. And when you declare you're gonna go explore what that healing journey looks like for you, everything that you need will show up for you. I can almost guarantee that. It doesn't always look or feel like that, but it is, and it does. So
yeah, definitely. Well, thank you for sharing that. And so it sounds like you're doing really well today. Are there any things that still come up for you that you still sort of struggle with?
Well, it's a very good question. I tell my clients sometimes, I'm like, why am I doing this? Why did I sign up to do this? Because as a teacher, God, spirit, universe, whatever you believe in, you have to walk your talk. It's like you will always be given an opportunity to practice what you preach. So God keeps me humble. And so I, need to make sure that I stay true to all the suggestions and recommendations that I make to my clients, all the self-help tools and the guides that I provide. I use them all myself. And I think, like, just recently I was asked to do a training that I have done lots of times before, but I was asked to do it to a bigger group, which was new. And I knew I needed some help from other people to make it happen, because I wanted the message. It was child sexual abuse prevention training. And it wasn't about me. I wanted to make sure the learning that's required was what people got from the class. So I got visited by fear in a big way that I had not in a long time. And it really it surprised me. But fear, we all know fear needs fear to sustain itself. And it finds a way to kind of creep into your thoughts and your heart when you sometimes least expect it. but it usually is because you're up against something big. It's like you're pushing yourself to the next level, or you're going to have a breakthrough.
Mm-hmm.
We don't always catch it when we're in the spinning of it, right? The spinning of the fear. And I was like totally wiped out. Like, of course, the training went brilliantly. I did a lovely job, and I had the support of my peers there, and everybody was very happy with the training. And then I went home and I slept for 12 hours. I mean, I had like given it all, and I recognized it wasn't even the training itself that took the most out of me. It was what the worrying, the fear that I was struggling with, like for the 24 hours building up to it.
Right. It's very draining.
And exactly. So I really had to face myself and to practice the self-compassion that I teach to others, and not to judge myself, but just like, wow, this was interesting. I got to go for a little ride with fear. And it had been a little while, because usually I can see it, 3 blocks away when it's coming, and I can stop it in its tracks there. But this time it got in and under my skin, and it took me for a ride, and it was a hard one. But I'm glad for it now, because it certainly humbled me a little bit, and I learned something new about myself.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's the important thing, is that we take something away from whatever it is we're going through.
Exactly. Yeah.
And hopefully, and we're better able to handle it next time.
Yes. Exactly.
So, Svava, I want to ask you the final question that I have for you today, which is the same question that I had asked you 3 years ago. So I'll ask you again in case, your answer may be different. As, 3 years has passed, you have, 3 more years of experience under your belt. And that question is, given what you know now, if you could go back to when you were going through your tough times and give yourself one piece of advice, what would it be?
Just one? I'm kidding. Well, I think it is to remember, to do your best to remember how much you are loved. Yes, we were hurt by love and didn't feel lovable. I did not feel lovable, but that I am loved. I was loved. I always was loved. And the truth is, it was closer than I realized. And if I could have, taken down the wall sooner, I really wish that I would have taken down the wall sooner and opened my heart up to what the love that was already there. So, but I also trust that I wasn't ready for it until I was ready for it. So it's okay. I say to myself, it's okay, baby girl. You're doing a beautiful job.
Right. Don't be hard on yourself, right? Just know that you are where you're supposed to be right now.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's great. And that ties in perfectly to what you said last time, which was that you are not alone. To remember that you're not alone. So
Exactly.
Absolutely. So before we wrap up, Svava, what is, something that we can do to help support you right now and everything that you have going on?
Well, I do write blogs every week. So my website, svavabrooks.com, is where people can go to both learn about the work I do and my blog. So sharing my blog with the world is often how people find me. And so I think that's probably the best way. If you know someone who is struggling with abuse or trauma and has lost their way, I know I write about things in a way that, from a survivor perspective, I share a lot of myself and my story and my journey in my blogs. And I know that has helped a lot of people. So if you want to help me help people, feel free to share my blog.
Sounds good. And I'll be sure to have that linked up. And any other ways that people can connect with you?
Well, I am on social media, of course.
Definitely look for you on Periscope, right?
Yeah, exactly. Look me up on Periscope, and I'd love for you to come visit. And you don't have to engage or anything. You can just sit and watch, or even watch a replay if you want to check it out. But please there. And I'm on Facebook and Instagram, and in the near future, on YouTube.
Okay, sounds good. So that'll all be linked up for everyone to check out. So, Svava, I just want to thank you for coming back on here today and for continuing, to share your journey with us and letting us know what you've been up to since you were first on. I think, you have so much great stuff going on. It's really inspiring. So thank you for the amazing work you're doing and, just for coming back on here today to share it with everyone.
Great. Thank you so much, Melissa. I appreciate you and I appreciate the work that you're doing. Just a beautiful job, creating a platform for connecting people. We all need it. And I'm sure you've helped a lot of people. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. All right. Well, I hope that you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. You too.
Thanks for listening to the show today. This has been the Grass Gets Greener podcast, episode 135. Go to thegrassgetsgreener.com/Svava Brooks and the number 2 to find the links mentioned during this episode or to leave a comment. So I hope you enjoyed getting to hear from Svava again today. And don't forget to go check out her blog and, share it with someone who you think it could help. And of course, you can find that linked up on the show notes page. And come back in 2 weeks for the next episode. I know lately these episodes have been coming out on more of a monthly basis. It's just been scheduling issues. But I do have some episodes lined up now, and we're looking to get back onto that every other week schedule. And next time, I'm going to be joined by Matt Pappas of BeyondYourPast.com. So definitely come back to check that one out. And also head over to the website to grab your free copy of the Top 10 Strategies Guide for Survivors. In it, you'll find the top 10 most common strategies my podcast guests have used for overcoming the effects of past trauma. It's a great place to get started if you're looking for some strategies that can help you in your healing, as they have helped my guests. And you can find that at thegrassgetsgreener.com/guide or also on the show notes page. So be sure to grab that if you haven't yet. And lastly, don't forget to head over to iTunes or Stitcher to leave the show a rating and review so that we can reach as many survivors as possible. And as always, have hope.